Today is the continuation of a new series, and I believe it will be one of my most exciting video series to date. In this video and in this series, I'm researching some epic basketball stories about some of the greatest players of all time. I'll do my best to research these stories to figure out what specific games they're talking about, and I'll do my best to inform you guys on the details of the event. Today, I have a story about the Celtics legend Larry Bird, where he allegedly played an entire game with his left hand. For this story, you'll hear the perspective from both Larry himself and from his teammate at the time, Rick Carlisle. Take a listen.
Bird shoot left-handed for an entire game against Portland?
Scoring 47 points. You're especially using your left hand.
Oh.
I remember because I was there, and it was at a time when McHale was still coming off the bench, so he scored the first 8 points of the game left-handed.
I had a good left hand around the basket, and they always, if you watch, if I remember the game correctly, they were forcing me left to help, and they wasn't getting there quick enough, so I had shots around 5-6 foot with my left hand. I felt more comfortable with my left hand there than I did my right. Then once I got started making a few, I just kept going.
And Jerome Kersey was guarding him at the time, and I remember this because we had a great trash-talking team. I mean, we had ML Carr, we had McHale, we had Bird. Ainge was a yacker. I mean, we had guys with great creativity with that. And I'll never forget it. McHale yells out, "Hey, Jerome, wait till you start shooting right-handed."
Some night it goes in, some night it don't. That night it happened to work out. But if I remember correctly, we won that game in overtime by like 1 point. So, probably shot with my right hand the whole game.
Now, anyone who considers themselves a Larry Bird fan is well acquainted with this story. But just how accurate is their telling of this story? Well, usually, this is the part of the video where I do the investigative work to find out when this game took place. But in this case, I didn't have to do that, as the NBA's official YouTube page has the highlights of the game and posted the specific date of the contest in the video's description. The game occurred on February 14th, 1986, which just happened to be Valentine's Day, and it was a regular season matchup between the 39-9 Celtics and the 29-26 Portland Trailblazers. Bird and the Celtics were on the second night of a back-to-back after beating the Supersonics in Seattle the previous evening. Even with their tired legs, the Celtics had plenty of reasons to be confident. For one, they had the best record in the entire league, and in the Eastern Conference, they were a whopping 9 games ahead of second place in the loss column. So in short, the Celtics were not just a confident team, but they were supremely confident, and no one more so than their superstar leader, Larry Bird, who was on the verge of winning his third straight MVP award. Considering the fact that it was mid-February and the team was coasting to the first seed, it would make sense that Bird and the Celtics would be looking for ways to challenge themselves. So according to Bird's teammate at the time, Bill Walton, Larry told the team well before tip-off that he was going to play the entire contest with just his left hand, or at least the first 3 quarters. Now, although the Celtics were good, this was still an extremely ballsy move from Larry, considering how the Celtics were 22-1 at home up until that point, and the only team that managed to beat them in their building was this same Portland Trailblazers team. On top of that, Boston's second best player, Kevin McHale, was going to miss this game with an injury. So more so than usual, you would think Larry Bird would need his dominant hand to win this matchup. Regardless, Bird felt confident enough to proceed with his left-handed plan. When the game started, you could immediately tell how Larry was operating with the left side of his brain, as his first contribution was a left-handed blocked shot on Kiki Vanderway. Back on offense, Larry pump faked and then converted a running left-handed floater. Soon after that, he spun around Jerome Kersey for his second left-handed field goal, but that one was thanks mostly to the atrocious defensive effort from Kersey. His next basket was a breakaway bucket that he flushed down with his right hand. So at this point, it's pretty clear that the entire game wasn't with his left hand. His next few baskets were mostly jumpers converted with his right hand. Then he went back to alternating between his right and his left hand, depending on where he was at on the court. Now, despite Bird continuing to go to work, the game was remaining close throughout, thanks to the strong offensive performances from Portland's Vanderway and Jerome Kersey. At halftime, the game was tied at 55 points. At this point, you would think that the score being this close would make Bird switch back to exclusively using his right hand, but that wasn't the case. Sure, he continued to shoot jumpers with his dominant hand, but in the post, Larry was using his craftiness and intelligence to position himself to score with his left, which he did time and time again. To start the fourth quarter, Larry did an up and under move to hit this mid-range shot with his left. And now, the Portland crowd seemed frustrated as they booed the Celtics star for the fact that he was toying with the Blazers. Now the left-handed onslaught was in full effect, as he hit this running hook over Clyde Drexler, followed by this ridiculous and one shot on Drexler as well. It wasn't until this point in the game, where Larry had scored his 39th point, that he was finally ready to abandon his left-handed approach, presumably for the sake of guaranteeing the victory. With about 15 seconds remaining in regulation, Boston finds themselves trailing by just 2 points. Bird gets the ball from DJ and hits this clutch jumper to tie the game at 109, which ultimately sent the game to overtime. Later in OT, it's down to the final possession once again, but this time, Portland is leading by just 1 point, 119 to 118, and Bird is the man inbounding the ball with just 17 seconds left on the clock. At this point in the game, Bird was sitting on a 45-point triple-double, where he had just done most of his damage with his left hand. So obviously, Portland was going to do everything in their power to deny him the ball. So now, Larry Legend inbounds the ball to Robert Parrish. He has to fight through physical defense from Kersey, but he eventually gets the rock back. And then, despite the defense being right on him, Bird did what Bird does, as he hit the game-winning shot with 3 seconds remaining, capping off one of the most amazing regular season performances in Celtics history. He finished with 47 points, 14 rebounds, and 11 assists on 21 of 34 shooting. He only took a total of 3 free throws throughout the entire game, as he basically earned everything he did from the field. Now here's the important detail of the story. Of Larry Bird's total of 21 field goals made, 10 of them were made with his left hand, while the other 11 field goals were made with his right hand. So in conclusion, no, he did not play the entire game with his left hand, but he did play a large portion of that game with his left hand, in a situation where he knew he was going to be leaned upon heavily offensively. No matter how you slice it, this was a remarkable game by Bird, and it's since been properly immortalized in basketball lore. So what do you guys think? Was this the most impressive Larry Bird performance? And what is another story you would like to see me cover in this series? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.